Guy Powell here, and welcome to the next episode of the Backstory on Marketing and AI. If you haven't already done so, please visit ProRelevant.com and sign up for all of these episodes and podcasts. I am the author of the upcoming book, The AI Marketing Machine, and you can find out more information on this at marketingmachine.prorelevant.com. Today, I'm interviewing Robin Emiliani with Catalyst Marketing. So let me tell you a little bit about her. She is the Chief Growth Officer and leads a team of strategy, media, and creative experts. And after 2 decades in marketing at global tech companies, she founded Catalyst in 2016 with her partner to create the marketing partner she always wanted. Her team leverages AI, of course, to help companies grow faster. Robin, welcome. So good to have you.
Yes, thanks for having me, Guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's your backstory on marketing and AI?
Ooh, backstory on marketing and AI goes back probably a couple years when our team just started to dabble in it. And it was more like, hey, have you seen this? And we started playing around with the tool. And then we made a declaration, I would say probably Q4 of last year, because our team was becoming very adept at using these tools, that it made a lot of sense for us to use these tools on behalf of our clients. So not just for Catalyst Marketing, but to help our clients as well, because there was some trepidation. The clients were feeling a little bit overwhelmed by it, and they still feel this. There is this concern of, well, what tool should I be using? What's the tech stack that I do need to invest in? So we made a pivot to our business and have become an AI enhanced growth marketing company so that we're leveraging tools on their behalf. So they don't have to take the risk. They don't have to invest in the tech stack. They don't have to do the due diligence around the different tools. So we're doing that on their behalf. And then sharing those expenses out to our other clients. So it's spread across. So it's actually not only is the work smarter, faster, but it's actually a little bit cheaper as a result because we're able to spread those costs to all of our different clients. But it's now a part of our daily lives here at Catalyst, including my own, from everything to content generation to strategy to disproving my hypotheses, to even helping me write cards for some of my loved ones. But that's a little secret, Guy.
Yeah, no, that's cheating, I think, doing that for your loved one. You're supposed to put your own thought in there, not that from
well,
some.
it's my own prompt, Guy, so I feel like it's not really cheating.
Yeah, it's half cheating. Maybe
Yes,
you're a third cheating. I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very good. So you made this pivot. So I'm sure you've been coming up with all kinds of tips and thoughts and techniques on different prompts. What have you learned there?
Yeah, it's all kinds of tips and prompts. The team has become really masterful at being prompt engineers. We have a person on our team that has spearheaded the integration of AI within the business and supporting our clients. So this particular gentleman has created a 14-week curriculum for our team that we're all going through currently, where every week each of us has homework that we have to do based on the videos that he's downloaded or the materials that he's provided us. So we're quickly becoming experts in this space, but knowing that that's going to pivot and we have to keep iterating and we have to keep doing the research and we have to keep educating ourselves about the different tools. There's been a couple tools that we use for a little bit and then abandon. And then there's a couple tools that we've doubled down on, really seeing the value in some of these tools to be not only smarter for Catalyst, but for our clients too. And it's funny that what we're finding with our clients is some of them are like, yeah, tell me about the tools. And then some are like, I don't even care what tools you're using as long as you're using them to support me. I don't really care what the tech stack looks like. So it just kind of depends on the engagement and the type of person, the type of client that we have, whether or not they're pretty involved in the tech stack and the tools that we're leveraging on their behalf. So it's been kind of interesting to see the different personalities and who's interested and who's frankly not.
Yeah, it's interesting. And you wonder if the ones that are not that interested or afraid of it, as opposed to those that really want to dive into it and be, kind of the expert or the
Yeah.
influencer on AI.
Yes.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're using AI to support all of the work that you're doing. I'm sure that ranges from early market research to competitive analysis. What kind of tips do you have, let's say, for market research and then also for competitive analysis?
Yeah, I think always expect your first prompt is not going to be good enough. You're going to have to keep refining and refining and refining. But I think a couple prompt tips that have been helpful for us is making sure you're putting into the prompt who is the person that you're targeting, what's the audience, providing tone of voice, providing some context, making sure even things like saying, you know what, make this scannable. So if you're creating a piece of content, like let's say it's an ebook, make it scannable so that it has headlines, it has subheads, it has bullet points, but then paragraphs explaining the bullet, going into further depth about the bullet points. So, I just recently did an ebook where I was really testing my prompting skills that, luckily my coach on my team has been working with me on. But, consider the different angles. There was another gentleman that actually provided another great prompt tip where it said include influencers in this ebook and quote them and provide validation of some of the ideas that they're presenting, which I really loved. But one of my most favorite prompts, though, is to break things. So asking the tools to say, okay, act as a board member and analyze this and then find the gaps, find where there are holes, find where there's redundancies to some of my competitors in this space. The other ways that we're leveraging prompts is to break hypotheses. So, which we've never been able to do before. We have always been known as a strategic agency for campaign architecture and lead generation. And one of the things that we didn't have was a thought partner, with the exception of the other people on the team, where you have somebody actually really challenging you and saying, I don't agree with this, and then asking the tools, well, give me the reason why you don't agree with this. So you have some sort of fact-based, resistance to what you've put together.
Yeah, it's interesting, when you go and try and break it or give me
Yeah.
the things that you weren't expecting or whatever it is.
Yeah.
When I do that, I never really sure if they're hallucinations or not.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I really don't care because the goal is to take whatever those thoughts are and test the main results that you get. So it really, I think, helps to do it like you were saying, is just to make sure that you've really got everything fully buttoned up and that you've thought about, some of the things that might not be as whole as it otherwise could be.
Yeah, it's all about causing you to think a little bit differently. So you can lift away from what you've actually created to say, "Oh wow, that's not something I ever considered." And that may be a hallucination, but I can go back and, fact
Yeah.
check that to make sure that's a valid concern or that's a valid gap that it's identified.
Yeah, yeah, and one of the things that we've found too is that the hallucinations are quite often based on, you get kind of to the limit of the data or
Yeah.
whatever, and then the engine, that the LLM goes off and it tries to then fill in the gaps. And the worst thing that it does, which, I mean, it's good to some extent, but it writes it so clearly and concisely that it makes it so believable when in reality it could be, totally missing. But anyway, we're getting off on hallucinations, and I didn't mean to do that.
Which
Yeah.
which
So so when you're talking about growth marketing, so what do you mean by growth marketing, and how are you using AI to support that?
Yeah, so growth marketing. So this goes back very early in my career. One of the few things that I did right in my career, Guy, was I realized that if the marketing strategies I was providing were driving revenue, that elevated me. It elevated me in my position. It elevated me visibility in the company. And of course that, in complex B2B sales, it also means you're in lockstep with the salesperson. So I was very lucky early on to figure out that secret. It also helped that my bonus was tied to revenue. So kudos to my former employer once upon a time that said, great marketing should be impacting revenue. So to me, growth marketing is all about marketing strategies that drive revenue. And one of the biggest components of that is lead generation. So creating these really powerful and efficient lead generation machines and campaigns that are going to accelerate the marketing and sales cycle. So what we were finding with AI and how that could impact lead generation very quickly and speed that up and accelerate it was targeting. So really understanding the ICP, the ideal customer profile, and being able to refine the buyer persona. I think in the past we had some good guesses about buyer personas, but that work has gotten so good thanks to AI, better understanding not only, what are their likes and dislikes, but also like what are their personality types? What's the type of language that they respond to? So messaging has gotten better, content development has gotten a hell of a lot better, thanks to AI, because we're able to write content at scale that's targeting specific buyer personas. So in the B2B world, it's not just a singular person that we're marketing to, but it's a buying committee. So we have multiple people that we're targeting that have multiple different job roles and likely multiple different personalities. So we have to speak to them in different ways about different things because based on their job roles, they're going to react differently. And then also the AI tools that we're leveraging is what I mentioned earlier is about the data and being able to aggregate the data. So in my former life, it was BI, but the technology has increased exponentially for that. So being able to have those dashboards and then being able to find patterns and trends based on that, and then being able to adapt the messaging accordingly. And then again, back to accelerating the sales cycle so that you're impacting revenue and helping the sales team close deals faster.
Yeah, I think that's and definitely one of the challenges when when you're in B2B and B2B tech sales is the sales cycle. And I like your point about how do I accelerate that sales cycle? And if I can get messages to all of the different players that are on the purchase committee that are appropriate for them based on whatever their job role is, really can make a difference. And I think you're right; it can certainly accelerate the overall sales cycle, and that for B2B is everything.
Right.
Yeah. So now we've been talking about marketing. How does AI support the sales team?
I think the first thing I'll say is sales enablement. Sales enablement has gotten so good. Back to the messaging and creating tools. Before they were pretty generalized, like that was good enough for the sales team was creating more generalized messaging. But now because we can be hyper personalized, creating those really rich sales tools that speak to that specific person that they're going after, creating everything from battle cards to presentations. Although I feel like this is the one gap in AI that I have not seen significant progress is deck development. But I think, the at least the meat or the core of the sales decks have gotten considerably
Mm.
better. I think also targeting, so thinking about media campaigns and going after specific buyer personas, which of course is generating high quality leads for the sales team instead of sifting through, a whole mountain of leads that may or not be qualified. We're able to really refine that so that they're getting high quality leads that they can be able to follow up on. The other thing too, as you know, is competitor analysis, especially as you're getting close to the end of the cycle when it's your company or it's somebody else's company, really understanding like where are the weak spots of that company and what's the language that I need to use in that pitch in order to be able to close this deal and overcome that specific competitor.
Yeah, interesting, and I like your point about sales enablement. Just for the audience, if you wouldn't mind, explain what you mean by that term.
Yeah, so sales enablement tools, particularly in the B2B world, is any supporting documents or materials that are going to help you close the deal. So, for example, sales outreach includes oftentimes emails. So, creating those emails, it absolutely leverage those AI tools to be able to write some of those sales emails. So, sales emails that are going out to prospects. It's also a pitch deck. So if you're in front of a customer and doing kind of, an introduction where you're explaining the different types of services that you provide and the benefits that you provide. So think those pitch decks, also LinkedIn posts. I would also say because salespeople need to build their own brand in addition to the company brand. It's you want to establish yourself as a credible person that is helping and not selling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, of course, good news, bad news. We've all made mistakes with AI,
Mhm.
and I guess we'll
Sure.
continue to make them, but hopefully we'll learn from those. What are some of the AI mistakes that you've made that you have learned from that can help all of us to do a better job and make fewer mistakes, make different mistakes, but maybe make fewer, maybe hopefully overall make fewer?
Yeah, this mistake is a big one. And I caution everybody, even at parties, Guy, if somebody's willing to talk to me about AI, of course I'm going to jump at that chance. But the biggest thing was with Chat GPT. And one of the things that people are unaware of with Chat GPT is that whatever you're typing into Chat GPT is public. So being very careful about, because we deal with client information that is highly confidential, we cannot be putting prompts and asking questions about our clients within Chat GPT. So luckily we learned that really quickly and we're able to move to some other tools where we could lock things down and have garden walls so that we could ask questions so that it wasn't public, especially when we're doing competitive analysis and asking specific question about buyers and clients of these accounts. So it's a big cautionary tale that especially if you're doing deep dives on not only your clients but also your own company and asking this information, once you're putting it out there, it is in the ether forever and you can't claw it back. So pay for those subscriptions, pay for those garden walls, pay for that privacy, pay for that security so that the information that you're putting out there is locked down.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely good advice because the free version is so very tempting, and
Yes.
yet
Yes, of
it does
course it is.
not have that. You do not have that walled garden that then keeps your stuff from getting out into the ether and never being able to get it back. That's definitely a big one.
Yeah.
And certainly, even our clients are very worried about that. Even with the paid versions,
Oh,
they
for
want to
yeah.
actually have a totally dedicated machine for them because they're so concerned about this, especially in marketing where that data is your strategic position. And when
Yeah.
you're putting in that kind of data into the ether, or potentially you want to be, really, really comfortable with that. It's funny too, though, I will admit. So a lot of our clients, and I don't know, maybe yours as well, are using Salesforce. And Salesforce is a cloud-based, great application,
Been
and
around forever. Yeah.
been around forever, highly protected, is a walled garden. And yet, even when you say, well, ChatGPT, the paid version, or Gemini, the paid version, or whatever, those paid versions are in a walled garden just as well protected as Salesforce, and yet they're still not 100% comfortable with that statement.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how as things evolve and making sure, especially if you're going to be a company that focuses on AI, getting some of those agreements in place, the stuff as a business owner, I don't want to do, even though I have a wonderful attorney, but you need to get those agreements in place to protect yourself.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. So, well, I have one more question for you, but is there anything else you'd like to bring up that we haven't touched on?
Yeah, I would say be bold and test things and not be afraid to try out tools. And then the other thing, one of the other ways I love using it is pitting the tools out against each other. So for example, if I'm working in Claude and I, put in a juicy prompt and then get a response to it, and I don't love it and I've tried a little bit, I will drop it into Perplexity and ask Perplexity to fix it or ask it to refine it based on this. So know that, like, think of it as a bunch of thought leaders thought partners that you have sitting around you, and you can be able to, put different answers into different tools and then pick the one that you feel like is best responding to your prompt.
It's interesting that you say that because we do the same thing, and we do it in another dimension as well. But going to the different engines and being able to see how each one of them gives you a slightly different answer,
Right.
and it may, and I think you get an answer from, let's say Claude, and you go, well, this is really kind of good, but it's missing, two things over here. And then
Yeah.
putting those two missing things in there, plus the answer, plus the prompt into Perplexity or wherever you want to put it. It is a way to get that quality up even further. And it's just amazing how well it does that.
Yeah, and I love the prompt too. Like if I generate something in Perplexity and drop it into Claude, I'll say this differently, and then drop in the copy. And then oftentimes I'll be using a little bit of this one and a little bit of that
Yeah.
one and kind of putting it together that way.
Yep. 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 Yeah. So it's fascinating. That's for sure. And there is so much going on, and there's so many learning opportunities here for all of us to not only use AI better, but in reality to hopefully generate sales faster, sales growth faster for our clients. So one last question. What kind of advice would you give an upcoming new marketer that's just entering in and now trying to get a job in marketing with all of this AI just being, fire hosed at them?
Yeah, one of the things no one taught me was become really good at tools, become the expert, become the super user of the tool so that you are teaching other people on your team how to use the tool, whether it's AI, whether it's a marketing automation tool, whether it's a chatbot. Find something that you are really good at, because those skills are transferable and make you highly coveted when you're going from company to company. If you can have a flower on your resume like that. The second bit of advice I would say is figure out how to tie what you're doing to revenue. Have that direct line so that when you're standing in front of somebody and you're marketing your own self, you can say, I helped this company increase sales by X%. There is one of the things that I think marketers have not been good at in the past is tying what they do to results. So turn yourself into a results-oriented individual. So it's not about creating content just to create content for content's sake. It's about creating great content that is impacting and accelerating that sales funnel to be able to help sales close deals faster. Every business leader wants to hear that you've done that. So strongly recommend you double down on that. And there's a lot of ways you can get access to become experienced at that. So you have everything at your fingertips. And there's a lot of great folks out there that you can follow, including Catalyst, my own company, who is teaching and coaching people how to do this.
Yeah, and I love seeing on a resume the statement. Let me just think of how it goes. The statement that says, I was successful at
Yes.
being under budget every quarter and every year."
Yes. Yes. That too. Yes.
That too. No, and I kind of mean that facetiously, because you see that and you go, oh, tie your stuff to results, just like you're saying.
Yeah.
What did you derive in terms of revenue? I don't care if you were under budget. Of course, you have to be under budget.
Yes.
Make sure that you were driving sales and being under budget. That's
Yeah.
really the.
If
That's
you were
really
over
the
budget,
critical.
you were fired, you would assume they're under budget. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you, Robin. That was great. Really good to learn from you, and I've written down a couple of notes as well, and I really appreciate that. And so, where can folks learn more about you and learn more about your company, Catalyst Marketing?
Yeah, so you can visit us. Our URL is catalystmarketing.io, and or you can email me, which is Robin, ROBIN at catalystmarketing.io, or follow me on LinkedIn. I try to produce content, whether it's considered controversial or not, you can see, but follow me on LinkedIn at Robin Emiliani.
Fantastic. Well, Robin, thank you so much. And for the audience, definitely stay tuned for many other videos in this series of the backstory on marketing and AI. And please visit marketingmachine.prorelevant.com to download the first chapter of my book and other valuable excerpts. And don't forget, if you like this episode, please rate it with 5 stars. Robin, thank you so much. It was great to have you today.
Thank you, Guy.